time has come, we've had some fun.
It's time for the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Here with a load of laughs, info, and fun, it's Tony B, Dave B, and Timmy D.
Before I go alone. Don't ask me this and one more song. It ain't too costly, no, I ain't too cheap, so just relax. I'm on my knees.
Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast, episode number 146. David B is on the horn. Good morning, David.
Morning,
B.
producer Tony. Year 5. Sis, do you know that this actually kicks off year 5 for us? Can you believe it's already year 5 that we've been doing this?
I know, man. Year 5, dude. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a lot of fun.
Some great people, and this is exciting. Hopefully, just keep chugging along.
Keep on chugging. Keep on chugging. Well, I'm happy to have you on the show again today, David, doing it with you. It's always been fun. What's new in DB's world?
Oh, kind of the same old. That word chugging's got me thinking about our favorite sponsor, the Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go after a Ship's Gonna Happen week. Great place to go to kind of get a great meal, chat it up with the locals, and kind of hear some great music on a Friday or any day. And just they've been super supportive of us, and we appreciate everything that they do. Great Divide, 743 East New York Street. Unfortunately, producer Tony, it's been a minute since I've been in there. I wasn't in there at all this week due to some, just kind of life stuff getting in the way. But
yeah,
hopefully this coming week we can get back in there, you and I, and kind of be patrons again. It's just been a second, but we appreciate everything they do for us. So we need to do a live show from there too sometime. Would be good. Just thinking out loud.
Good stuff. Yeah, and we got the Francois probably got. I think last time we saw him, he said he had some movement going on with the film, so it'd be fun to catch up with him on that.
So Tony, you're kind of going.
Oh, did I go out?
I'm hearing weird stuff again. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I was just saying you could hear Francois.
Yeah.
You could get Francois. He had some updates for us, didn't he?
That's right.
Said he wanted to get Jordan. What's his name on the phone?
That would be Logan.
Logan. I keep thinking his name's Jordan. Yeah. Logan. Yeah.
Yep. Just update on the movie and the kind of and then also we did that ugly sweater. Gabe was in. We haven't had a moment with Gabe. He asked about you. He always asks about you, how you're doing.
Young Gabe, the pilot.
Yep. And then the post woman or postman or post woman, I guess, is the right verbiage, and everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I heard Jen say one day, we got a podcast in here. I think Francois had popped in and Gabe was there, and kind of, what I mean, like the crew, everybody was. Yeah. I'm like, yep. The only thing we're missing is just the setup. So all good.
Boom.
Oh, good. So, what are things look like on your end, producer Tony, as far as I mean, we're in month 2 of the year, just in, and how are you seeing the market going? Or is the company you work for seeing an uptick, or are you hearing anything about an uptick? Or
yeah, no, it's a great question, David, because it's our livelihood, right? It's what we do.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing some revenue falling in the system in pockets and areas. And overall, I mean, we're still plugging along. I think the trucking industry's down a little bit from what I've seen. It seems like there's just a couple. It seems like people are kind of cutting rates to keep the shipment volume on the trucks. But I guess we kind of expected this. I think really, from what I'm sensing, it seems like the second, third quarter is going to really be the kind of the turnaround in mine and your world, Dave. It seems like it'll get more busier. We were kind of in, to be frank, for my area, it's kind of like still like in the Christmas season, like we're kind of, it's down and up, and one day you might have a lot of pickups, the next day you don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that. It was a rough start, I think, especially for the Midwest and East Coast to this year with all the weather. So pickups were getting a day behind, 2 days behind. I mean, I think the Indianapolis area as a whole was under a weather advisory for a good 2-3 weeks. Right?
I'd kind of forgotten about that already. You're spot on. We were.
So I think it kind of delayed some revenue numbers, right? Things are back to normal now as far as the weather's concerned, but just think maybe these tariffs that the president was throwing around, maybe my understanding in the international world is that made people ship earlier. They were worried about tariffs coming into play.
Okay.
So those ships are now hitting the coast and probably being unloaded. So maybe what are they, 6 to 8 weeks out from an order, maybe 3 months. So I think once he got elected, my understanding is a lot of people put orders in to stay ahead of the tariffs if they were going to be affected by it. But I do have some people that ship internationally and they say that they've not been affected by it at all. So I don't know.
To your point, I mean, our January was solid, probably more solid than a normal January, and I guess that reasoning that you gave would make 100% sense. That might be why, and I hope it just continues. But if it doesn't, I wonder if that's. I mean, I think you're spot on with that assessment or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
and we ship internationally.
Yeah,
we just ship. I mean, we just did a shipment to Japan yesterday or the day before, and I don't know that anybody even gave any consideration to anything that was going on. Maybe they did, and I just don't know about it. But I didn't.
It was a 3PL that told me about it, that they had customers put in orders earlier because they were an hour. I wouldn't have known about it, to be quite frank.
I see.
And you know this person. You do.
I'm losing you again, Tony.
Oh, I was going to say, you know this person who I'm talking about. Is it Wibbly Wavely?
I got nothing.
This sounds good on my end. I don't know if I move this.
I'm losing you, Tony. I still got nothing on you. I'm hearing the womp womp.
You can't get womp womp.
Still no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Still nothing.
Maybe it'll come back.
There
here.
we go.
Let me see
that's better.
You got it?
Now it's good. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so I had lunch with the person that does ordering, and that's what they had told me, that they had put in their orders earlier in lieu of the tariffs.
We're buying a competitor this week, so it must not be.
Are you really?
Yep. Out west. I think
good for you
guys,
think
it goes public on the 13th, so that would be Thursday. So we have a big whatever meeting on Thursday at 11 a.m. to discuss and it's all kept quiet. God forbid if any, we don't want to be up front and whatever with anybody, but it's on Thursday at 11 a.m. I guess we're making the announcement that we're purchasing whatever competitor. So, and that's
great.
I looked them up. I've never heard of them before, but I'm sure most people haven't heard of the corporation that I work for. But I mean, it kind of sheds the end of December was, and don't take it I'm complaining because I'm not. I mean, the end of December was raise time, and you're like, meh. And then this month or January was supposed to be bonus. That didn't happen. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not complaining, but then, those things happened, and now we're buying somebody, which I guess is good. But I don't know. Growth is always positive, but I'd like to see it in my household. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we're buying a competitor this week. So,
well, congratulations, because I think we're going to see more of that in our industry and in the business world.
Okay.
Just simply because of the way the economy has been. I know that Canada, with these tariffs, they were worried about the tariffs, so they were going to actually start purchasing companies.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't have to do that. So, but they now don't have to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think the economy creates a lot of things happening. I mean, you've had some things in the trucking world, like our buddy Jack Cooper's back in the game, David.
Again,
he's back in the game. You can't get rid of Jack Cooper.
And I'm going to need your help a little bit, I think, with this story. But if I'm remembering correctly, he's bought a extremely regional in our area, a very small regional carrier. Is that correct, or am I misremembering that story?
You're all over it. So Jack Cooper was the guy that wanted to bring back YRC, and he got declined all that stuff. So he ended up buying a logistics company that ended up buying Standard Forwarding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's indirect owner of it.
And Standard Forwarding, for those of you that don't know, is an extremely small, very like 5 state at the most, little regional. I don't know that they cover even 100% of any certain state. Maybe they do, but I can't, in my head, I can't think of, they kind of do part of Wisconsin, part of Minnesota, part of Illinois, part of Indiana, but but they may cover 100% of a state, but I don't think that they do.
Yeah, I don't think I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I've kind of got them up right now, and I don't see where they've got, but their map it doesn't lead me to think that. I mean, you can look at the map and be like, well, they cover 100% of all 4 states, but I don't think they do.
We know how those maps work.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
A little deceiving.
So it says here, a car hauler, Jack Cooper, appears to be one step closer to ending the less than truckload industries and talks to acquire Standard Forwarding, which is a Teamster staffed LTL carrier. I did not know that.
So 5 states, I guess. Iowa, they could maybe, it kind of looks like they might cover all of Iowa, maybe.
And they're Illinois based. I did not know that.
Yeah. A good friend of ours just
14
a good friend of ours just recently took a job there. So
a good guy, one of the good guys.
Yeah, great, and he'll do well. I mean, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. They've been around a long time. Standard Forwarding is before the pre-COVID. We never used them quite a bit. We never used them like all the time, but pre-COVID, unexpectedly, they sent us a letter saying, "Nah, not no more." And that kind of, and what I mean by that is they just like, we're no longer going to hold a tariff with between your company and Standard Forwarding, which, whatever at the time, but it still resonates with me. I'm like, kind of screw you. Why would I even entertain giving you an ounce of business now if you didn't want to do business with us X amount of years ago? That would be like your company coming in and going, nah, no more, Dave. And I'd be like, well, somebody will take it.
Right.
Exactly. I don't know. But yeah. But our friend that went there, he's a good dude, and we wish him well, and he'll do fine.
I think they'll do well. I think they'll do well, because I think they were a company that was kind of under ownership, kind of just floundering around. Right? They were on their own. They got picked up by DA. I think DHL owned them for a little bit. Yeah, and then so I guess the good thing for the people at Standard Forwarding is that you got a highly focused Jack Cooper wanting to buy you. And we know that he wanted to buy YRC and wants to create a nationwide carrier. So I think this is his first step to creating a nationwide carrier of some sort. I mean, you think about it. I mean, like you just said, they do 4 states. Well, hell, now you do 10. Now you do 20. So what I mean?
So is there that to your point there, is there the ability to just hypothetically take Standard Forwarding and make them a 48 state, 50 state? Is that even
I don't know about that. Okay. I think the more realistic thing is kind of doing a Dayton model, a Pitt, Ohio model,
or kind of wasn't that the original SIA model where they kind of and now they're
I think it's everybody.
Okay.
I think that was everybody's model. I mean, you go back to Yellow Roadway days. They were behind the interstate system being laid on the road, right? So I mean, when you and I were in high school, the farthest west or would furthest west be the right word, was that which they most of these carriers, so everybody knows, if you know the history of them, are based out of the East Coast, South, or kind of the Midwest. And I mean, old West Coast has them, but seems like the ones in the East Coast and Midwest and South that grew up to be nationwide carriers, right? Pretty quick. So I mean, Roadway and Yellow. I mean, Roadway went the furthest west in its day, and that furthest west terminal was Terre Haute, Indiana.
Right. Wow.
And then they had to hand everything off, right? I mean, that wasn't that long ago, man. That was probably up until the 70s, and then the 80s that they deregulated it, right? And then boom, they expanded like mad. And a lot of it, I mean, Estes has done it too. They bought West Coast carriers to link that. So it just looks like Jack Cooper's highly motivated. And if you could buy your way into it, you could buy smaller regional carriers and probably link them up and do that.
Every bit.
But
I mean, what, 20 years, I'll just say 20 years ago, we were at a Roadway had some sort of tournament, NCAA tournament thing going on at B-Dubs here in town. And one of the customers, I was just kind of randomly talking to them about how they approach doing their business. And this had to be every bit of 20 years ago. And they said that they weren't happy with Saya because they did a shipment with them into Maine and they screwed it up. And I immediately said, they don't go to Maine. You know, I'm like, what do you, you know, or at least, I mean, I know they partner into Maine, but I'm like, what? You know, I'm like, okay. But that wasn't that long ago, to your point, you know. And now they have them all. They have all the states.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you've seen a lot of carriers do it. I mean, you have, excuse me, you have Pitt, Ohio right now that owns Dorn, right? So they moved over all the way to Iowa in that acquisition. So, I mean, it's still called Dorn, but you got, maybe when I first started, Dayton, Ohio was maybe in 6-7 states.
Yeah. I mean,
now they're in 10, 14.
AAA is growing into other states. Dayton's growing into other states. So, yeah. I guess when you stop and think about it, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Roadway and Yellow laid that model down, and it still works.
And look where they are today.
You know, the other care. I know.
I'm not that model. At the, somebody's misfortune. Yeah. I'm just, they were
I feel you.
They were in my opinion, the good old boy carrier, especially Roadway. And I know that's not everybody's model, but they did a hell of a job, or at least, you know, from my perspective on how business should be done. But what do I know? I'm barely a high school graduate, barely high school graduate.
Yeah, man. You're one of the brightest bulbs in the store.
Pretty dim bulb there, producer Tony.
But I mean, you and I have watched all this stuff. Sure. So it's been
it's a point of topic almost every single time we're together. I mean, what I mean by that is just where business is as a whole, because it's like you mentioned earlier, that's what we do for a livelihood. So I mean, it's always in the forefront or whatever. Oh.
Well, you always got to have, like, when I was at Roadway, we were highly trained, highly engaged. You learned about the competition. You learned about what they can't do, they don't do well. It just seems like in the last, probably, I would say 10 years. Okay, let me back up. So when I first got in this industry, like, I had a customer that used Old Dominion in Illinois, and the Roadway people were like, dude, you got to fix that. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, they come here like 2 days a week. They're horrible. Right. So then you're like, well, you go and you work out a deal and you get it. And then time goes by and you realize, well, they're really not that bad. Right. Yeah. They're actually pretty good at what they do. And so I've watched these carriers that you have advantages, right? There's advantages, but I think as time goes by, those advantages shrink because the other people get as smart. And I think the technology's just solved a lot of problems for people. So when you asked me about Jack Cooper, the first thing I thought of was, Jack Cooper could turn on the program to the 3PLs and get a ton of freight that way, right?
Yeah.
So he could actually start driving into states and making deals with customers that have large volume. I mean, this guy seems like, you know, you know, on one hand, it might be dangerous working for a guy like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then on one hand, it not that I'm not lobbying to go work for it, but on one hand, it's kind of exciting because he's kind of like he's like in a wild, wild west.
A week or so ago, I did read an article, or I saw the headline for an article where they're expecting the LTL market to make a billions with a B quote uptick in business in the next few years. And I mean, if you even have the smallest portion of that, whether it be a standard forwarding or an NM transfer or whoever else, regional, little, whatever. I mean, if you have some part of that uptick in billions with a B, there's no reason why you still shouldn't be, okay in the market.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they expect it. Just like, what amazes me so much is we looked at like during the downturn of the economy, right? And all these trucking companies still sitting around, and we go through all that in 08 to 010, and then, bunch had to buy each other. Well, I mean, it's pretty much the reason why YRC collapsed. But when you look at it, it's like it just continues to grow, man. And it's astonishing, right? Because I mean, it's a good thing, like we're saying, but I often wonder, like, how is it growing that fast?
Right. Yeah. It's a good.
I mean, because it's not like these companies are popping up all over the place. It's just warehouses, right?
Well, I tell you what, right up through this stretch of I-65 between the north side of Indy and where I'm at, they're still going up, and I'm like, where in the hell? Who
I know.
who is moving into these warehouses, and and where are you getting the help from, and blah blah blah, and I'm like, gosh darn. I mean, they're all over the place still, and I just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
good to see growth and good to see whatever, but how is all of this? But I'm not privy to that, but it's, geez, now that's all it is just warehouses up through there.
And you live in an area where it's just seen all that dynamic growth, right? I mean, where you're at is like a hot pocket for growth in the future. I mean, how many people lived in Lebanon, Indiana 20 years ago, Dave?
15,000 people probably.
I mean, how many today?
Probably right at 20.
I mean, it's going to
be more with Lily's moved to town, Meta's coming to town. I mean, where else would you want to have your corporate headquarters but Lebanon, Indiana? I mean, it's good to see the growth. I mean, just yesterday I was telling my Uber driver I could get to Zionsville in 10 minutes, right, and not speed, right out of high school. Literally not speed. And I-65 was a 2-lane interstate. Can't get out of Lebanon in 10 minutes anymore, and it's a minimum a half hour to get to Zionsville.
No, it's like Lebanon's going to be a suburb of Indianapolis in like 5 years. It seems like.
So to your point with earlier, there was a time where I kind of referred to this area, or just a little bit south of here, 10 miles south of like Fisher's West. But now I wonder if we're going to become like Plainfield North, where as far as the amount of business and warehouses that are down through here, where freight's just going to fall off your truck. You're like, oh my God, we can't get it all, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. You'll be the northern suburb of Indianapolis. Would it be north? Yeah, it'd be north.
Well, I mean, to your point was like about the population. The high school I went to was a little bitty 1A high school, and it still is a little bitty 1A high school. And at that time, Zionsville was in our conference, and they were a little bitty 1A school. Now Zionsville is the biggest school in Boone County, and has the biggest growth of anything.
Wow.
And that was 37 years ago. But in the grand scheme of where I look at time, it literally was just yesterday.
Well, I know, it's amazing.
Yeah, or at least the way I look at it, it was yesterday. So kind of feel young, Tony.
Well, David, you're still got a good step in your step.
When I leave work this morning, I'm going to go to Hooks and get my prescription filled.
Get your pain medicine, your back pain.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to see it's good to see the growth. Just hopefully, what is it going to take to maintain it, or is it even possible to be maintained, or whatever? And when I hope it is, just keep me employed for 12 more years, and I don't give a shit what happens after that, Tony. I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't take
I know.
my Social Security from me, and let me just live out let me live out the rest of my time.
Yeah. Hopefully it's all there when we retire,
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
It says here that Ford canceled its contract with Jack Cooper.
Yeah.
He used to haul all their cars.
And this is recent?
That just did that on the 7th. Yeah, February 7th.
Interesting.
So maybe that was
yesterday,
of the purchase of the care. Yeah.
I'll be darned.
It says he's no longer. Ford canceled his contract with Jack Cooper.
Wow.
And some facilities cut jobs, 400 workers.
I'll be damned.
Jack Cooper permanently closed operations in Wayne, 89 employees. Well, looks like they may be working at a terminal pretty soon.
No. Yeah, got it.
Oh man.
I mean,
Jack Cooper.
You think about that terminal. I mean, going to like the standard forwarding, they're in the old Conway terminal out west, just west of here. So, right? Isn't that where they're?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
I forgot that was a Conway terminal back in the day. Did you ever know Paul Zimba?
I know the name. I never met him.
He was at Conway. He was really good friends with Alex Rona. Good dude, legitimately good damn dude. His name, I hadn't thought of him and I don't know how long, but man, he's a good dude. Wonder what he's up to. Wonder if he's still with XPO or just thinking out loud. Good dude, man. Dude, it's hard to find. I mean, there's a lot of good people in this industry, but he was legit a good goddamn dude.
Man, I know I didn't know him. I was just looking at more trucking stuff. It says trucking conditions hit highest level since April 22. The improved lower fuel cost. So yeah, I mean it's ready to go, man. We just need a kicker.
Did you say? And I think I heard you say lower fuel costs, because if I'm missing on that, I'm not seeing that, or at least yet.
It says it says trucking conditions. There's an index called FTRs. You can look it up on Fleet Equipment. It's called FTR's Condition Index for November rose to 3%. The reading shows carriers' market conditions reaching their strongest point since April 22. Says the improved TCI results stem from lower fuel costs, challenging rates, partially offset by weaker utilization. It says it's a softer market, but favorable conditions. The index is saying that the market's ready, the trucking industry's ready for for a change in the market. That it's poised.
On the truckload side, I'm definitely seeing rates kind of tick up a little bit, which pisses me off since I'm the buyer of it. And I'm not seeing a reason why. I don't I mean, if it's what the market dictates, I guess it's what the market dictates, but I just think they're still, in my head, a little on the inflated side, which just bothers me to no end. It shouldn't be that high. And I know people need to make money and things need to move, but I'd rather see them come down a few $100 on each lane. Just my own opinion.
It says here to clarify what that shipper's condition index is. It improved by a point in November, reaching 2.3, which indicates modestly favorable market for shippers.
Okay.
So the fuel hasn't gone up enough, and there's been pricing engagement in the market in November through December, which creates a better balance for the shipper, according to the company. The outlook for shippers' condition has slightly improved, but remains neutral with fluctuations. So you're seeing a little bit, it's good. Oh, wait, the fuel, like you were saying, fuel costs can negatively and positively affect it. So it's seeing kind of like a uptick for your side of the fence.
And everybody needs to be made aware of fuel prices are part of the reason why you pay this amount of money for whatever it is you're purchasing. That's part of the deal. I mean, inevitably those costs go down all the way to the consumer, because if I have to charge X amount of freight from here to Cincinnati or here to Boston or whatever, those costs trickle all the way down to the end user, all the way down.
Hey, Dave, I had a question for you. Have you ever received money from USAID?
No, sir. Should I
It's a
have?
joke.
Should I be looking in the mailbox, or am I missing something?
It seems like a lot of people have.
Tracy probably took it and bought.
Never showed you.
Yeah, that would be typical. No.
So what do you think about the news in the world going on? Any thoughts on that?
Not. I mean, I'm still a little hungover from last night, but not right on. I mean, no. But now, what about you? Probably best to start with you on that. What about you?
Yeah, it looks like not really. Just really excited about this economy getting to going. Seeing some of these taxes and things like that being reduced.
Which is what we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I mean, I kind of felt that's what January was, unless I'm at least on my end. If I look at dollars, if I look at total dollars year to date, January this year versus January last year, it's down just a little, but it seems like the business volume was up. I mean, I know our biggest. I had a meeting yesterday with our biggest truckload carrier, and they're like, dude, January, if we're going to have 12 of them, I go, I can't promise 12 of them, but it was a goddamn good, excuse my language, it was a good month, so I wondered how much that played into what we saw, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. I just wonder if that's part of why we saw things the way they were, with the new administration or whatever. So
yeah. Man, that's good though. So
who are you rooting for tomorrow? Do you give a shit or?
Man, well, I tell you, I the NCAA playoffs was unbelievable.
So do you mean the total 12 team? Is that what you mean, or do you just mean the final?
If you lived in the Midwest, the NCAA championship in football, the final six teams were, several of your teams were in there. I mean, for me, growing up in Chicago, I was always a Notre Dame fan. So to have Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State in the final four was unbelievable, right? Yeah. So it was just a beautiful thing. So to answer your question, this time I have no team on in the game here. So, and I think I witnessed Buffalo getting screwed in the playoffs
by the officials.
I'm going to watch it.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they got screwed. Totally screwed. That was not 3rd and 20, whatever that pass Mahomes made. It hit the ground. It was not a complete pass. That's ridiculous. The ball's turned over, and they're probably going to lose the game. So, it's bullshit. So, and I think that the Eagles, Tampa Bay or whoever they were playing, were getting screwed early on. And that ended up being a blowout. So I really don't care. I really don't care. I'm going to watch it though. Okay. I mean, it just does seem like it's like Patrick Mahomes has turned into Tom Brady, right? So
there is a chance for a three-peat, which would be the first ever three-peat ever in the NFL. Is that right? I'm thinking.
I think under the current Super Bowl, the way we currently do the Super Bowl, but I believe the Packers won 3 what would have been considered today NFL championships. I think Cleveland might have won. Yeah. Let me look it up. I'm going to look it up real quick because I think under the way it is now, no, nobody has. Let me see, Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't really care at all either, but I'm sure people do. I just don't. I'm not a big pro football guy. I'd much rather watch the college game. But our officials.
No, Green Bay won 2.
Okay.
Go ahead. Green Bay won 2 in a row, but I think the year before 66 was considered the world or whatever they called it. So Green Bay, I think, won 3. Anyways, what were you saying? I'm sorry, brother.
No, you're good. I just wanted to, because I'm going to forget it if I don't mention it. Are officials ever held accountable, or it is what it is? They make some dumbass call, like you're saying in the Kansas City game. Is there ever any repercussions? And I'm not saying. I mean, within their little like officiating group, are they? I wonder if they're ever held accountable for anything that they do that's just completely wrong, or it is what it is. Just a thought I had. I don't know if they're ever held accountable.
Well, I'm looking it up here.
Just wondering. Because you don't ever hear of it. It goes on. They make a dumbass call, and then nothing ever happens to it. Or I don't know. It just seems like you just don't hear no more of it. Because we have a short-term memory on that stuff anyway. Until you said something about it, I'm like, oh yeah, the Bills did get screwed. I'm sure if you're an avid Bills fan, you're like, sons of bitches cost us the game or whatever.
Well, it says they are held accountable. Okay. They're evaluated for their performances. But I mean, what hangs in my head though all the time is that NBA guy who got caught, and he said it was as simple as in the meetings before the game, they would discuss things. And so one of the times that he basically did what he did was, and admitted it in a court, was Allen Iverson had a game, and the refs hated Allen Iverson. They thought he had a bad attitude, and so he decided that we're going to keep an eye on him crossing over, carrying the ball. So it was one of the first times in NBA history where you could visually see where he was targeted. And then years later, we find out that, yeah, he was. So they kept calling fouls on him when he would dribble the ball, carrying the ball. And Iverson was going nuts and got a technical called on him. Right? So then he's out of the game, and that game was totally affected. So they lost the game. Sixers lost the game. And whoever betted money on that game won because the Sixers were favored. So I guess I'm hoping that it's not. I don't think it all is.
Like, but so what I'm hearing you say, it's kind of like the police department policing themselves. Like, yeah, it's under internal investigation, and nothing's going to come.
Yeah, because the last thing they want is for us to know all these games that were influenced by them, right? So we're not going to get public hearings about it. I don't know. I'm not saying it is all, but I mean, it just seemed that Buffalo game just seemed really weird to me. It seemed really weird to me that Josh Allen got a first down and they called it, and then the guy literally saw the guy walk back a yard behind the first down and say he didn't get it. So I mean, just stuff like that. And I had no skin in the game. I mean, I want to see a fair game. And when you see like holding late in the game, right? Because you could call holding on every play. You see holding late in the game, or you're letting the receiver and defensive back bump all game, and then all of a sudden late in the game, you're going to call, a penalty on that person. It's just one of the biggest ones was in I can't remember if it was Ohio State, Alabama, or maybe it was Clemson, where Ohio State guy goes to block the kick and he's moving away from the kicker, and then the defender hits him right into the kicker, and they called it kicking interference. Yeah, that was one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. Because the same officials ref the game earlier, and that happened, and they didn't call it like that, and they decided to call that one because I believe it was Alabama. So I don't know, man. It just seems weird sometimes. That's why I like the NCAA tournament. It seems like it's harder to rig that thing. Basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but I mean, when we just talked about an NBA guy doing basketball, but I don't know, man. When you go back and you look at that referee's history, I mean, he's having conversations with Jordan and Pippen on the side before the games, right? I mean, what the hell's he doing? Why are you talking to the players, man? Just call the game. So, I mean, you don't know what he's telling them. Is he telling them, hey, Michael, don't do your push off. We're going to call that today. Be careful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's he telling him?
Yeah.
So why is he talking to him? So I don't know. I'm probably wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the month of May around here, Producer Tony, is a really exciting time with the race. And I'm not a big race guy or whatever, but it's
coming
big.
up.
But this year, the middle of May starts an exciting year for the Indiana Fever. They have made some huge off-season changes and brought in some players like DeWanna Bonner and a few other people that are going to kind of build around Caitlin Clark. And I think, I don't know if I want to use the word contenders just yet, but Producer Tony, they're going to make some noise. At least I think they are. You know, it should be
going to make some noise.
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying super team. I'm not so sure I'd go that route, but they made some big changes. They brought in some
they got the same coach, right?
They have a new coach. So
they have a new coach.
Yeah. So Stephanie White is the new coach. She's a Purdue gal. Grew up here in Indiana. Yeah. She went to Purdue.
I remember her.
Played for the Fever back in the day. Natasha Howard's coming back. When Natasha Howard was an original when she was drafted. I'm going to go probably about the year 2014, right in that range. The Fever drafted her, and I think she played a couple seasons with the Fever and then ended up at a few other teams. But she definitely has a championship background. She's bringing back to Indiana, and they've waived a few players, and now they brought on some new ones, and I think it's just going to be extremely exciting, and doing what they need to do to keep Caitlin Clark happy and Aaliyah Boston happy, and I think I could be wrong, but I think this is Aaliyah Boston's last season under her rookie contract, so you're going to need to pay her after this season's up, if that's so the route they so choose to go or whatever. But it's going to be exciting. Producer Tony, you and I went to a game last June, and I feel like we had a great time. And yeah, even though they got their backsides handed to them, but yeah, I mean, good time to be a Fever fan.
Yeah, it was packed, man.
Oh, wow.
on a weekday.
10,000 kids and
middle of a weekday, packed.
At noon. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Good atmosphere, good game day stuff.
Oh, it was great.
It was fun. It was really, really good time. Yeah,
it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. So,
court looked cool. All the colors on the court.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
It was, yeah. So, middle of May. I know it's literally just around the corner. 2 months from now or whatever, and they'll be 3 months from now. They'll be right at it. So yeah, see what happens.
So what are you thinking about this game? Who do you want to win?
I'm kind of with you. I don't know that I have I'll be asleep because that's my rapid eye movement time frame. My REM. I'll be out. They might still be on when I get up to come into work. Maybe what time is the game? 6:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I'm not a big pro football guy. I'd much rather watch college. I don't know that I care either way. And it's in New Orleans, right? The game, I think. I'm pretty sure it's in New Orleans. So good for the good. I mean, good for their local economy and all that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of. I always kind of get turned off by that game because people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch the commercials," and I'm like, "Who gives a flying f about the commercials? It's the game is what's the whatever." Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. The Super Bowl is always fun. I mean, you got some things to look for. This could be Travis Kelce's last game, right?
And
he's a Hall of Famer.
Is he just at that? And I don't know that much about him. Is he just at that age, or is it just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably considered on the older side of. I'll look it up here, David. I didn't know off the top of my head, but yeah, he's 35.
So speaking of, just without looking up, how old or excuse me, how young? I always like to say how young. How young do you think somebody is? How young do you think Luka Doncic is? How young do you think he is? Just curiosity, just right off the top of your head, you think he's
30?
great guess. He turns.
What is it?
He turns 26 this month.
What?
Somebody explain that to me. That dude's been around forever and a day. Turns freaking 26 this month. I would have guessed minimum 30. He turns 26 the end of this month. I make that make sense. I mean, his name's been in the game, it seems like, for a minimum of a decade.
Yeah, I'm looking him up now. He so he never played college.
Yeah, he was overseas, and what was he, a soccer player, I think, or football, I guess is the right term, football player before he went into basketball. If I remember that story correctly, I could be wrong, but I felt like he was a football player before he played basketball. But it's just that
I'm looking at it
just
here.
that name. You're like, man, that guy's got to be every bit of 30. Nope, far from it.
Says here, wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He played against the NBA preseason Celtics in 2015, 2016 at age 16.
Damn, I didn't know that. When he was with
He
Dallas?
debuted in the Euro. He it says here on October 16th at age 16, Donick debuted in the Euro League.
Oh, okay.
Scoring 2 points in a loss. He became the 21st player ever in the European League before turning 17. He was scoring 10 points when he was 17 on average.
Mm-hmm.
And then he rose to prominence in the 2016-2017 season, scoring points off of against the USA team, Oklahoma City Thunder. They lost the game, but game earned him Player of the Week for their Euro League. Yeah, I mean, this dude, and then he was MVP in 2018. Wow. And then 2019, he was on the All-Euro All-Decade team. And then Dallas Mavericks took him in 2018 as a rookie.
Good on.
At 2018. Yeah, 2018 to 2025, he was a Maverick, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So he's going to the Lakers now, right?
Yes, he's playing alongside his idol, LeBron James.
Oh, my God.
They put
How did they?
The Pacers.
Who they trade to get that guy?
Yeah, they Anthony Davis.
What?
Anthony Davis went. Yeah, that's when the trade was announced is when I'm like, oh, okay, they're about the same age. I would just have assumed Anthony Davis is 32 and Doncic is only 20 right now, currently 25. And yeah, they traded Anthony Davis, and I think the Pacers.
That's a steal.
I think the Pacers play them. I think it's today. I'm pretty sure.
Well, why can't the Pacers make a deal like that?
And
that dude would light it up in Indiana. He's gonna go play He's gonna go play with LeBron. That sucks. Who'd want to do that?
Yeah.
Me. I'm over here. Me. Why you keep shooting the ball, man? I'm over here. Me. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's trade him, coach. He's shooting too much.
Yeah.
They're trying to get LeBron the NBA's viewership is in the toilet. Right. I don't know if you know that.
Down 53% from.
Yes. Yeah. So LA's got to make a move.
Yeah.
And wow, that's that. Because I mean, wouldn't you think that he's better, like by far, than Anthony Davis?
Well, yeah. And I mean, like, just the age.
How do you get a straight up deal like that?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Well, how the hell does that even happen?
It makes sense.
Well, how doesn't? I mean, was there money also, David? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware, but I don't. know the full specifics of the trade. I thought it was just a straight up deal, but I could be.
When did this happen?
Was it Tuesday?
I don't follow the
Tuesday
NBA.
or Wednesday. One of those. Maybe even it was Monday. It happened. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Then the Pacers play the Lakers today. So, right, I'm pretty sure it's today. So I'm almost afraid to see what happens for that. And it's out there in LA.
So here's what it says. The Lakers acquired Luka Doncic and center Mark Williams.
A 2-for-1.
And yeah, and the Mavericks were motivated to move Doncic because of his constant conditioning concerns. There have been significant frustrations within the organization. Donic's lack of discipline regarding his diet and conditioning. It just seems like a fake story.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly.
I think there's I think it's like an NBA going backdoor and saying, hey, we got to fix this freaking league. No, nobody's watching you already, Dallas, but really nobody's watching the Lakers. I don't know, but it's just that trade does not seem, either this guy's got some problems that we don't know about, which doesn't seem to be the case, but LeBron usually gets what LeBron wants, right?
Yep. And he claims to not have known anything about the trade. I call bullshit on that.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
The trade talks, they say, were initiated by Dallas.
Yeah, that's what
it was.
Yeah. So the Pacers play the Lakers today at 4. So
oh my God, with that team, they're going to get scorched.
The Pacers are
maybe not.
Yeah, I know. I think you're 100% right, because this will be Luka's second game with the Lakers, and it's a home, and so I think you're 100%, and it's on ESPN. So, yep, it's prime.
I'm shocked.
Prime to get their backsides handed to them today, and one of the things with the Pacers that bothers me is they played Portland earlier in the week, and then in that Portland game, Halliburton has 0 points and then completely avoids the media after. Sit your ass down and let's have a talk on why you fucking no-showed this game. Excuse my language. But there's been a couple of those this year, and we're paying you this amount of money, you need to perform.
Damn, they're playing the Lakers today. Where's that game at?
In LA, at the crypto.com arena, and it's on ESPN.
That wouldn't be. So I was going to say, if it was in Indy, that wouldn't be a bad game to go to.
Right. Yep.
But wow, dude, I guess I didn't. The Pacers are doing okay.
Yeah. I mean, all considering 8 games up on 500, but when you tank a game like they did against Portland the other day, you just, just don't want to see that.
Portland's one of the worst teams in the league. God.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, that's exciting to look forward to. Maybe I'll catch that game on TV today.
So this is, I know we always kind of talk about what's going on in the wonderful world of music. You got any good music shows you're coming up? If you bought a pass this year? For real
tonight. Well, tonight we're going to Billy Joel Sting, right?
And this is where? Sorry,
this is at Lucas Oil Stadium,
downtown Indy. Okay,
yeah,
and
downtown Indy, baby.
I'm gonna guess 8:00, or do you know when?
Yeah, 7:38. Yep.
Wow.
We're going to Uber in. We're going to have the kids are going to drive us in. I think Uber back.
Yep. Good call. So you're not.
Yep.
Nobody's arguing about who's DDing and who isn't. Then, right?
Who's designating driving tonight? Not me?
Are you hitting the spot up before the game, like getting a meal or a beverage, or not? Or
I think we're going to do something here.
Oh yeah.
And then we're going to do something here, and then save a little bit and do something here, and then
my groceries are expensive as heck, though, dude, man. And far cheaper than eating out. But
yeah,
we made reservations yesterday for the last Friday of this month for St. Elmo, and I think there's 9 of us. Can you imagine what that bill's going to be? or nine.
Oh my God.
9 people at St. Elmo. Minimum $900. Minimum $900. Did you stand?
So to answer your question about the lawn pass, they haven't released it yet.
Really?
For Ruoff. Yeah, they haven't released it yet.
So a dumb question. And so now or I don't know if it's a dumb question. So if you get a Ruoff pass this year, is there a way to buy, I'm just asking out loud, is there a way to buy now you have to pay to park. Is there a way to buy a parking pass for the year too, or is that not?
Man, David, you're hitting a nerve here.
Sorry. No, I'm not trying to. I'm only
trying to get me riled up this morning. So great question. So it's been a controversy. If you follow the Ruoff Music Center, the lawn pass on Twitter or what's now known as X. I just Googled it and the Search Lab AI is reporting that the Music Center Nobles. The Ruoff Music Center in Noblesville, Indiana, offers a lawn pass called the Lawny Pass. It gives access to the lawn seating at many of the venues at summer concerts. Okay. The Lawny Pass may have some changes, including parking. The venue will charge for parking. Attendees will not be allowed to bring their own chairs in, but we'll be able to rent them.
What?
I think they're like $10 a chair. Yeah. So So we're on the list, but we haven't got them yet. But looking at so like I started to think, well, why are they doing this? Why would they change this? Because everything once it gets corporatized, kind of turns to blah, right? So growing up where I grew up, I mean, you had to pay to park to go anywhere. I mean, you can't even Wrigley Field doesn't even have a parking lot. You got to park on somebody's lawn. Yeah. And they're going to charge you like $20
minimum.
Minimum. So, and you got to park everywhere you go. I've always been surprised you haven't been able to pay to park at Ruoff, that they didn't charge at least like $5. Mm-hmm. But $20 if you got the pass, right? So you're going to. So I went to 16 concerts,
Damn.
Right? So that's 20 times 16. That's $320 just to park. So I'm going to pay that to park now.
Yeah.
So and then looking at the venue, well, I mean, if you've got like, there's some good ones on there. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like last year. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I let me look it up real quick. Like, am I going to go to all these? I'm not sure, dude. I mean, we're probably going to do it because it's worth it still to do it. But, David, I just don't know. Let me look it up here. Here's the schedule. There's some good stuff there.
Okay.
But like,
you almost ought to think that your pass should get you like, all right, I'm good for parking and I don't have to. I don't have to spend more to rent an effing chair or whatever.
It was so cool because we would just, we're bringing in low chairs that sit to the bottom. I don't understand why.
And that's the way they're supposed to be. Isn't that mandated that they're supposed to be that way, or is that not a mandated thing? Or
it's mandated because they measure them at the. So as of right now, you got Sestana. I have no idea who that is. You got Avril Lavigne. I know who that is. You got Thomas Rhett. I don't know who he is. You got Simple Minds, which is a good one. Sunday, June 22nd. You got Keith Urban. I mean, that's okay, I guess. You got Dave Matthews 2 nights in a row. Then you got Chris Stapleton two nights in a row. Then you got Rufus. I don't know who Rufus is. Then you got. Do you know who that is?
No. Isn't that like the 70s funk band that kind of Shaka Khan was the lead for back in the day? And I could be wrong.
I have no idea, man.
I'll just say I'm wrong.
Then you got Toto with Christopher Cross and Men at Work. That wouldn't be bad, right? Jason Aldean, Rod Stewart. You got Nelly with Jay Rue. You got Styx and Kevin Cronin. And then you got Tedeschi Trucks Band and Whiskey Myers.
Trucks, yeah. They normally play.
You know them?
And yeah, in the past, that's one of Tracy's bands. They've played at White River prior to any other time they
Okay.
came to town. So we went to Red Rocks and saw them at Red Rocks in
Oh, wow.
2016. And to see, if you've never seen that show at Red Rocks, oh man, that is a excellent venue. And I've never been
Yeah.
to Ruoff, so, and I live right here. So, but anyway.
Well, maybe we'll have to go see him, David.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Bryan, and then Billy Idol and Lainey Wilson. That's the last one, Friday, October 3rd so far. I mean, there's some more dates to fill in here, but I mean,
isn't Joan Jett with Billy Idol, I think, or no? Is that not?
No, it just says Billy Idol.
Okay.
There are going to be some more fill-ins here, but I mean, I keep saying, I mean, last year you looked at this and it was Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Smashing Pumpkins.
Freaking, you know what I mean, dude? It was hot. I mean, it was like unbelievable. So I guess it's high expectations, but it's always good, though. They do a good job, and it's a great atmosphere. I mean, no matter what band you see here, if you were to pick one you didn't even know and went to it, you would be there's no atmosphere, in my opinion, quite like that atmosphere. It's just one of the best.
Have you ever Ubered to Ruoff or no?
No. I think I have. Wait. Yeah, I have. I think we have from Shelby lives not too far from there, so I guess we stationed there before.
So would that make more? So then
rides in.
So then, to your point with that, would that make more sense? Just hypothetically, I'm only asking if you parked at Shelby's house and then Ubered over, or is that not a?
Yeah, we could do that. We've done that. And spend the night.
Okay. Yeah.
And get up, So yeah, that makes sense to do that. It's a good.
She's probably like my mom and dad
like 5 minutes from it. Yeah. Hey, we need to put the couch together. But it's good though. Sometimes she goes with us.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, they've been with us to usually do one family one. Last year, the family one was Alanis Morissette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Shelby liked her and Ann liked her. I liked her too. She was awesome. Yeah, that Simple Minds will be good. Man, that's going back, isn't it?
It is 1980. I mean,
didn't they play "Don't You Forget About Me"?
I always thought, and I could be wrong in this assessment, that they should have been bigger than U2, and maybe in some circles they are, but I always thought they were better than U2, or at least in my opinion. And I don't know why I'm comparing them to U2. It's just, I don't know. I just think that
forget about.
It's just my opinion, man. I don't know. I just thought they were better.
Name that movie.
What's that again? Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that was. Every
I'm not a big movie guy, but that's kind of one of those movies that when it's on, you kind of watch wherever it is at in the show, if anybody even does that anymore. When it was on TV, you just kind of like, oh, I'll pick it up from here. I'm not sure I ever watched that movie in its duration. Maybe I did, but I don't recall. It always seems to, like, I remember I probably saw all of it, but in parts, you know what I mean? Like where I never watched it all in one setting.
It's just a movie that totally connects for some reason with me. The aesthetics,
a little bit of every demographic in detention on a Saturday morning, and if you mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. So
it's just and everybody's got problems, right? And then you don't know anybody until you sit down and have to talk to them.
And the principal wears a suit and tie to detention on Saturday morning. Someone make that make sense. That's not what happened.
I know.
Not that I voice of experience here.
Right.
I should have been.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, shit. I'll tell you what, that's just a
That's
time in
funny,
my
man.
life where I just did as minimal as possible to get by. I didn't take any academic, first fucking academic class. I took whatever I could just to get by.
Yeah, I remember those feelings like, oh man, couldn't wait to get done. And then you were done. You're like, whoa, what am I going to do now?
Well, like
I gotta go to
it's
work.
funny.
Gotta go to college. Go do something.
It's funny. It's so funny you mentioned that because just yesterday, my Uber driver going to Indy, we were exactly talking about that. Where why wasn't there a class or classes in high school that are like, this is what's going to happen when you get out. If you don't go here, if you don't go to school or don't do whatever, this is what you're faced with, and it's going to cost this amount of money, and you are going to have to work your backside off. Period. Day to day, get used to it. It is what it is. Instead of like just coddling whoever and them not knowing, just that's just that's one of the things that needs to be taught. In addition to everything else, you need to be taught this is what life is going to throw at you every damn day.
You have that guy from Breakfast Club sit you down in their room,
if he was
right?
still,
in a little brick room.
He's no longer with us.
He's still alive.
Yeah, no, he's been gone. Mr.
You have a guy like that sit you down and on your current rate, this is where you're at. You're never going to be able to afford a house. You're never going to, just totally like ridicules you and it's like, hey, if and if you don't do this and that, I think every kid needs to be shown that, right?
The home immediately to the west of us and the home immediately to the east of us both went up on the market almost exactly at the same time. Dude, what they're asking for them homes, why the hell am I still in mine? I mean, I'm like, what?
You live in a unique neighborhood, dude.
But not
unique.
I mean, we can have this conversation more on this coming Thursday, but dude, I must be, I know I'm out of loop on a whole lot of things, but the value of a home and that I mean, like I mentioned, we can probably talk about more about this on Thursday because you'll get the bird's eye view of both of them. You're like, what? I'm completely out of it, Tony. I guess I just don't know. And if those homes, sell for what they are, then I'm a dumbass for staying in my home. A complete dumbass. I have no business. None.
It might be the smartest move at all, staying into it, because when you get older,
well, the Lily,
get rid of that. It's going to be more.
With Lily going in right there. I see your point, but I mean, how much longer do I want to, in time, another new roof, in time, really quick, 2 new driveways, in time, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. I just don't. I mean, again, we can throw numbers out on Thursday, but
I mean, there's so many companies around where you're at, right? And they're national. Some of them are national big companies with big factories there. So, I mean, if you pay what you got to pay for a house there, you're guaranteed. I mean, to me, there's a lot of suburban areas like that. It reminds me a little bit of Elk Grove Village, like where there's this industrial park nearby, and just because in the older homes in Elk Grove now, you'd be shocked at what they go for. They go for close to $750,000, and they're little 1-story. Your house isn't, but I'm talking about Elk Grove. But they were all just literally 1-story, 1,400 square feet, 1-car garage, and people now tear them down and build them into 2 stories, and those houses are now well over $1 million. So, your neighborhood's unique because it's close to that industrial park, but not too close. And it's on the other side of the interstate. And it's just it's always amazed me because if you were a kid trick-or-treating, your neighborhood would be the best because you could go all night long.
Yeah, when we first
walking through that neighborhood.
When we first moved into that neighborhood, and I'm not exaggerating this story at all, there would be cars full of kids just get dropped off in the neighborhood, and they would bounce from house to house to house to house to house to house.
Yeah,
it's not so much that. It's not so much that anymore. I mean, it still happens, but 30 years ago when we bought that home, it was that way or whatever. And yeah, I just, man, I know we'll talk more about this on Thursday, but dude, you have to help me make that make sense, because that does not make any sense to me at all. None whatsoever.
So how long were they in the market? Like just a week?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a hot.
But
I've
again,
always thought that's a hot neighborhood.
Man, I just don't get it, Tony. Help me understand.
It doesn't matter, dude.
Help me.
I lived in Champaign, Illinois, in a hot pocket neighborhood like that. I literally stuck the sign in the yard. The realtor just left the house, and he goes, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "What?" I mean, he just left. I mean, it was like 20 minutes. He goes, "You already got an offer." I go, "Wait, what?" I go, "Are you playing with me?" He goes, "No, somebody's drove by and read the sign and called me." I'm like, "Get out of here." And he's like, "They're willing to pay 40, 50, 60,000 more." I was like, "Well, let's wait. Let's wait a little bit."
I get you.
But yeah, I mean, I just think you're in a hot pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't.
It's not going to go away.
Yep. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what? You know when you sell when you start seeing super duper neighborhoods going up. Like,
well, I mean, to
like
the south of us, and I mean, that's kind of already what's happened. And, I mean, you see it driving up this way.
Where would you move, though?
No,
where would you move?
No, you're 100%. I had no clue. I don't know where. But
you're not going to move out of Lebanon, right?
Yeah, no, nowhere. I mean, no, I mean, it goes back to what you said just a few minutes ago about the younger generation and not being able to afford whatever. Yep, you're spot on. I mean, our oldest can't, and she does really, really well for herself, because
I had a family member get called back, but works for the State Department. Was told to come back to DC, and I could see why they wouldn't want to go to DC, man. To live in the DC area, could you imagine the price of a home?
Tracy was on a conference call yesterday, and I guess she does these all the time, but yesterday afternoon it was probably right at 3:30, and it was about possible furloughs and potential.
Whoa!
I mean, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to her, but it was just I only listened. I didn't listen to much of it. It was just part of it, and it was all about what could or might happen or whatever. And
no shit.
Yeah. So I mean, let's
like to the VA. Wow.
Yeah. And she, she didn't say a word while she was on the call, but and I go, when I was leaving, I go, and the purpose of that, and she's just like, I just want to be in the know. It's part of, the job. I just want to know what's going on. And I'm like, oh, fair. That makes sense, I guess. So, but yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I doubt it happens to her.
I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah.
So, but anyway,
I hope that doesn't happen, but some scary stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Can you hear that music?
I cannot. Oh, is that the outro? I do not hear it.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Now?
All right. Yep. There we go. Yep.
Is it too loud?
No, I can barely. It's not even. I mean, I'm just hearing. I can't make out the song itself. I just was hearing a little bounce or whatever.
Man, pretty long one here. Hour 14,
That's
David.
I see it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at mine right now. So yeah, Thursday. See you Thursday.
We on.
I appreciate everybody listening, and you have a great weekend.
You too, brother. Have a good one.